If you don't mind, elaborate and just share with us what you have planned for us on April 23rd, 2010.
Well, John mentioned that the Coast Guard was going to be out there talking about oil spills, and Debbie Manns, the baykeeper, and probably others talking about oyster reefs, and some of the other agencies, as he mentioned, with the Harbor Estuary Program. But the Corps, we have my favorite aspect of Environmental Day is all of the fish tanks, the touch tanks, that the kids can actually see the organisms that are out there that we've collected a couple of days in advance, and learn about the organisms that are just right outside their door that they don't that they don't really know. They're always very surprised when they say this came out of Arthur Kill and Newark Bay and those areas. And also we have our vessel out there that's going to give them tours of the harbor, and it provides a completely different vantage point for them, getting out there and having many of them having never even gotten out on the water, learning about the history of the harbor, learning about the navigation, seeing a dredge in operation, and the environmental restoration activities that are going on and that we're working towards with our partner agencies. Those are the two main aspects that the Corps of Engineers is focused on this event.
Okay. Now, I must commend you both. I noticed on Estuary Day we had a large group of children involved, and it was a great learning experience for them. John, why is it important for the city and the students participating in Friday's event?
And part of the sustained effort is to make sure that we keep this going in the classroom. So by demonstrating to them that there's agencies and adults who are out there doing this kind of work, we can then show that this is the place that this country's going, as you mentioned before, to the nation. The estuary program nationally is one of the most renowned programs because we've long recognized the need to keep our estuaries fruitful places, and not just places of navigation and transport, but putting that all together in a more comprehensive and environmentally friendly package. So the way we get to students is really the hands-on experiential learning, as Lisa mentioned. And not just her favorite, probably the favorite for all the kids, is the touch tank. And just the fact that there's vitality in the organisms, there's a rich ecosystem, there's a rich habitat. As we clean our water, the organisms are returning. So we want them to carry that message forward so that every time they look around themselves and there's something on the ground that doesn't belong there, maybe they can think about picking that up, making the conscious effort themselves to keep the environment cleaner, because ultimately the even more exotic animals will come back. We've had seals at the marina. So we want to make sure that the mammals who come up here as the water gets cleaner, maybe they're sometimes wayward. We recently had a manatee locally, and we've had whales come up recently. But those organisms, if they're in a polluted environment, aren't going to fare too well.
Now, we didn't have whales at the Arthur Kill, did we?
Not at the Arthur Kill, but up in the New Jersey direction.
Okay, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
One day we'll get one.
Make sure you call me if you do.
I will.
I want to see that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you said Future City has been around for 10 years?
Just over a decade, yes.
Okay. Now, has the projects changed since the inception of Future City?
When we first started this and I became involved, we established the Elizabeth River Arthur Kill Watershed Association, which is certified through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. So once we got that going, it gave us some of the opportunities to really establish a strong partnership with agencies like the Army Corps of Engineers, which requires a tremendous amount of commitment from our federal leaders to bring them on board into a community where they have a national mission. So it's really special that all these agencies participate. So it has changed from a very grassroots, homegrown event with mostly Kean University, some students, some interested local partners. And by bringing in the Corps and with the planning from the beginning to the end, I think we've made it something that we will sustain as we reach challenging times where commitments are stretched, where our government resources are getting thinner, but it's important that they maintain a presence here because we don't want to lose sight of that goal of having everyone involved.
Now, Lisa, as John mentioned, partners and partnerships, does the Army Corps get involved with many organizations for Environmental Day projects?
Yeah, we do. I mean, this is our 7th event with Future City and the Watershed Association. And I think that, you know, especially in times like this, we get to showcase our work and the job that we do, because, you know, we focus on the water, and, you know, we're not observed that frequently out there. And so, you know, the more people that get involved to not only tell everyone of what we're doing, but get them interested, and, you know, through the environmental education, but also partnering, because everything that we do, every project that we implement, whether it's dredging or environmental restoration or creating a wetland or, you know, creating public access, you know, we can't do it without the partners, without the community, nonprofits, and all of the advocates, and then getting everyone excited enough that they can then go and tell their congressional representatives to make it a priority for them. And I think that the partnership is really an important aspect. And other things that we tend to do around this time, especially, we see lots of emails that say, you know, go out and clean up. There's all these cleanups that are going on all these sites.
Right.
Go and clean up the Rahway River, go and clean up Minish Park, go and, you know, so not only are we doing these kinds of events where we can take kids out on the water and show kids the organisms and educate them, but also get a little dirty and start to clean up and really make advances at the local level.
Okay. Well, we'll be back for the second half, and I have some more questions for the two if you don't go far. We'll be back with the second half of Our City after these words. Thank you. Welcome back to the second half of Our City. Once again, we're discussing the 2010 Environmental Day here with folks from Future City and also the Army Corps of Engineers. So let's get back to where we left off. And John, tell us about the clean water effort and its role at the event.
Since Future City has been around in the city of Elizabeth, we've adopted a strong clean water campaign, including storm drain markings in many neighborhoods where the students get involved in identifying their storm drains, putting a marker on it, and then making sure that we try to keep as much of the debris out of it to keep our environment a little bit cleaner. We've also worked at the waterfront to make sure that residents, if they're catching fish, are aware of the dangers in catching fish. So we have signage up, and again, in cooperation with the city, make sure that our residents, as best we can, are informed that the harbor and the Arthur Kill and the Elizabeth River are great recreational places, but you have to be careful about taking the organisms out and using them for consumption. I'd like to be proud to say that through a lot of the hard work of Michelle Duran McBean, and you know, she would never want her name mentioned on this show, the Future City has been recognized with the highest award from the US EPA. So my duties will be split on Friday. I'll be at the marina in the morning, but then along with members of Future City, we'll be in New York accepting an environmental quality award, which on paper at least says it's the highest award given by the EPA to nonprofit groups and community groups in the country. So we're happy of that work, and we're glad that we believe we're making a difference.